Hi, my name is Paul Peacock and I write about gardening. Today I'm going to show you how to grow plum tomatoes. There are millions of different types of tomatoes. There are types of tomatoes that you grow in the greenhouse and they spend the whole summer indoors. There are some where you take them outside of the greenhouse once they get themselves established, and they will fruit and produce tomatoes, normally bush type, and they spend the time outside. You can also buy Italian type plum tomatoes, and more people are growing these in order to make their own passata. And the variety that you need to grow is Pomodoro. So if you want to grow plum tomatoes, go to your seed merchant and get Pomodoro as a variety, and that is absolutely super. It grows inside a greenhouse. It doesn't grow very well outside in this country, but you can get really super, very heavy plum tomatoes in the UK. Growing tomatoes is one of the things that gardeners get perplexed about, or they get worked up and annoyed about. Sometimes they just find the whole thing completely serene. Growing tomatoes actually is very simple, so long as you follow one or two very basic rules about growing the plant in its entirety. And we're going to start by the end of February, early March, sowing seeds. We're sowing 3 seeds into each of these pots. Now the seeds need to be kept at around about 15 degrees, so your kitchen windowsill is absolutely ideal, or a warm greenhouse. And pretty soon they will germinate and will be pushing their leaves towards the sky. At that stage, you take away all but one good growing seed, ready for the next stage. As May turns into June, the tomatoes will be growing quite healthily and strong, and very soon they're almost in a position to be transplanted into their final growing places. Now, as you can see with this particular plant, it needs support, but when they're 6 foot tall, they need a lot of support. Now, I like to grow my tomatoes in a half of a grow bag. So it's a grow bag cut in half, and that's what we're going to do now, is transplant this one into its final growing position. Now, transplanting your tomato to its final growing place can be quite involved depending upon the regime that you're going to use. I'm just going to grow mine in a half a grow bag, and this is cut down the middle. I do it this way because I've got a greater depth for my roots to develop. Turn your plant upside down, give it a tap, and the roots and the shoot will come away from your pot, and you now have, without hardly touching the plant, the whole thing ready to grow on. Now this plant, like all tomatoes, will need securing, and in this case I'm going to use a garden cane, and it will be on the floor on the garden cane. The tomato will grow up the cane until I decide when I'm going to stop it from growing. Between a leaf and the main stem of every tomato plant, you'll get a little stem growing out called a side shoot. That will grow to 6 foot in length and take up much of the energy and nutrients that your tomato plant is using and should be making into tomato, not into stem. So during the summer, whenever you see a stem appearing between a leaf and the main stem, pull it out. Cut out all of the side shoots that appear, and you'll have stronger and healthier tomatoes. When you've got flowers on your tomatoes, it's then you start your watering and feeding regime. Water at least once a week in the early summer, at least once every 3 days in the late summer, and feed them with tomato feed, liquid tomato feed, every week until you've taken off your beautiful red tomatoes, and they'll be gorgeous. And that is how you grow plum tomatoes.